Hey everyone, welcome to Author Nation. I'm Melody, and today we are going to talk about creating a practice. So as a creative, because if you're an author, you are a creative. And as a creative, one of the best ways to be highly productive is to have a practice. And so that's what I want to talk to you about today. But before we actually get into like how do you actually develop that practice, like, step, I just want to talk about a couple of things. One, about trusting yourself. That's the first thing I want to talk about, because I find a lot of us creatives, we lose faith in ourselves, and because of that, we stop producing, we don't create, or we don't put our creations out into the world. We get too scared to kind of show up and get our creations out into the world. So that's the first thing I want to do. And my advice to that, I have two pieces of advice around that that's going to help with your practice. And the first one is, it's not about you. This whole creative thing that you're doing, yeah, you want something out of it. We talked about your wine writing the book, but the book isn't about you. You're not writing a book about you. Even if you're writing a memoir, it's not about you. It's about a segment of your life. And if you're writing a book as a nonfiction author on a topic, it's about your expertise. It's not about you. So the first thing you want to do is take the focus off of you and put it onto the book. Put it onto if you're a different artist, put it onto the painting, the music, whatever you happen to be creating. Put the focus on what you're doing. And then my second piece to add to that is, when you're putting the focus on the project, on the book, on the art, don't put it on the outcome of the book. Don't put it on the outcome of your creation. Put it on the process of the creation. So when we are learning to do something, when we're writing a book, or we're in any kind of project, even if you're like looking for a job, you're not in control of whether somebody hires you or not. You're not in control of whether somebody buys the book or not. As a gymnast, I wasn't in control of anything other than me being able to show up at the gym every single day, whether I wanted to be there or not. I would show up at the gym and I would put in my practice. And every single time I went in, I didn't do like a full routine with music. I wasn't competing every time. I was doing those tiny little pieces that were part of the practice that built up that bigger thing that I then took to a competition. No matter what you're doing, you're not in control of the outcome. You're only in control of the process. So we're going to develop a practice to show up and have that be part of that process. And the next thing I want to talk about is scarcity. So a lot of people are a little worried about, it's like, oh, what if I put this all out there and then what else do I have to say? You have a lot to say. Trust me, you don't have just one book. I was talking to an author the other day, and he has a particular area that he's an expert in. And he's like, I want to write this book. And I said, well, who are you writing it to? And then we started saying, well, the same book idea could be written to 3 or 4 different audiences. They're all interested in it, but they're interested in it for different reasons. They need different information. So you aren't a one-book author, right? So when you're writing this book, give it your all. Be generous. Put it all out there. You will have lots more great ideas. And even because the world needs your book. And here's the thing. Even if another author is writing a book on the exact same topic to the exact same audience, you're not going to write the same book. They're going to be 2 distinct books with 2 distinct voices, different tones, different content. And people reading one book are more likely to be also reading the other book. It's not like you are selling cars where people generally only buy one car. People tend to buy 2 or 3 books in a genre. And so don't be afraid of other authors doing similar things or other books that are out there, because your book is a generous addition to what's already out there or what other people are already going to put out there. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, because I know some authors that can kind of get in the way of building this practice. All these, am I good enough? And is the book really what I should be doing? And all of that stuff. So let's put all that aside. Forget about the outcome. Let's go and do those tiny little things that slowly build that big project. And the first thing you're going to do, so number one, you're going to find your rhythm. That's the first thing you're going to do. Find your rhythm. And for some of us, we know our rhythm, and that's great. And other people, they just haven't really dug into that yet. So I'm going to kind of explain what I'm talking about. I'm going to talk a little bit about my rhythm and my life. So as a mom, one of my rhythms is my kids go to school from September to June, and then they have the summers off. Okay, so my kids are too old for me to be spending summers with them. They can handle themselves these days. But when they were young, the rhythm was that I would do more work when they were at school. And in the summers, I would take more time off and I would spend time with them, or we'd do more family things. And that was my rhythm. Nowadays, because I don't have to have a rhythm according to family anymore, my kids are bigger. I still, interestingly enough, I still have this rhythm where I tend to work a lot more in the winter months when it's dark outside and, the mountains are, cold and rainy and wet and snowy. And I want to be outside in the summer. So I still tend to work a lot more in the winter. I'll take on bigger projects. I'll work really hard. I'll get everything set up. And then, so in the summer, I can take a little bit of time off. That's a rhythm. We also have hourly rhythms, daily rhythms. So my rhythm tends to be, I get up, I take a little while to wake up, and then I'm go, 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 go. And so I'm really productive earlier on in the day, and I know that. So that's time not to be wasted. I know that that's when I want to get to my desk and get all that heavy thinking done, get those emotionally challenging tasks out of the way. So that's me. So you can have rhythms. You can have, your rhythm could be I write on weekends. That would be a rhythm. So figure out what your rhythms are. Think about your sleep, what seasons you love, what days of the week you do different things, and start, when are you most productive? When are you most creative? For me, that's mornings. And then based on that, we're going to start developing a practice. So the next thing is, based on your rhythms, build a routine. So the next thing is to build a routine. And so why build a routine? So some authors are like, oh, I have to sit and wait for the muse and then I'll write. Well, did you know that most creatives who wait for the muse to show up to do their work because they believe that is the best of them, the best of their creation, creating the best of their writing. Did you know that's actually not true? The people who are better skilled writers, people who produce better books, are the people who say, I'm going to sit in that chair every day, Monday through Friday, from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., and I'm going to write, whether I want to or not. Back to gymnastics. I was a gymnast. I went to the gym every morning and every day after school, whether I liked it or not. I would get up early in the morning and I would head to the gym before I went to school. After school, I would grab something to eat and I'd head back to the gym. Then sometimes I'd have dinner and I'd head to the gym again. Gymnastics spend a lot of time in the gym. And I didn't do it on the days when, I think I feel flexible today and creative and I think I could. No, I went every day whether I liked it or not. And that's how you become an elite gymnast. That's how you become a good gymnast. Same with writing, right? Same with writing, just like athletes. Prolific authors don't write when they feel like it. They sit in that chair, whatever it is. If you're a weekend writer, that's great. Every Saturday morning for 2 hours, I write. And that's valid. That's completely valid. Or I want to be an author entrepreneur where I write 3 books a year. Then valid would be sitting in your chair every day for 3 hours at minimum. That would be a more valid thing. So either way, it's valid, but it's a routine. You're getting into a routine. You're building a routine, and that's the perfect thing. And I just want to note a couple of things here. One, you notice I said building a routine. I'm not saying figure out what your routine is, jump in and don't deviate and never do anything else. Building a routine is something you do slowly. So it might be, I would love to build a routine where I'm writing 2 hours a day from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. every day. Or, some people I'd like to build a routine where I'm going to the gym every day or whatever it is. You don't just go and all of a sudden you're at the gym 2 hours a day, boom, 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 and you're lifting all these weights. No, it's like, when I remember developing a routine. I'm out of it now because of COVID, but I remember developing a routine to get to the gym. If I the first little while, if I got my shoes to the door, if I got my shoes on and walked around the neighborhood, that was a go. That was a win. And so think about those baby steps. If I want to write 2 hours a day, if that's my ultimate goal, then maybe if I just wrote 15 minutes a day, or I wrote 30 minutes every other day. So start with baby steps because you're not just magically there's a routine. You are building a routine. I didn't start as a gymnast practicing 2 or 3 times a day. That was a routine I built. And so have that mindset. I'm not going from 0 to 100. I'm going to 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4. People who go from 0 to 100 often go back down to 0. So don't do that to yourself. Build a routine, step by step by step by step. And the other thing I want to say about this is define writing. So when I work with authors, a lot of the time they're like, I'm not writing. It's so hard to write. I'm not writing. It's like, well, are you thinking about the book? Oh, yeah, I think about it a lot. Okay, so then you are doing some brain work around it. And so define writing. What does writing mean to you? Does it include planning? Does it include researching? Does it include daydreaming about it? Does it include writing words on a page? Does it include reviewing what you wrote another time? Does it include eavesdropping in conversations so you get the dialogue right? So what does it mean to write to you? So there are writers who, very famous, prolific writers who say, I will write 4 hours a day. And that includes all of these tasks. A lot of us get stuck in this idea that writing is about putting words on a page. That's one part of writing a book, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff. So define writing for yourself so you don't, when you land up sitting at your desk daydreaming about the book and when it's launched and it'll be so wonderful, make sure that, is daydreaming part of your writing? If it is, great, then allow yourself to have those daydreams because they motivate you and they help you organize the content or whatever they happen to do. So that is building the routine. And the last bit of a practice, so we've found our rhythm, we are building our routine. We haven't built our routine, we're building our routine. And the next thing to help us is to develop our writing rituals. And this is something that really helps. Some people have a writing hat. And when I'm writing, I put this writing hat on. And that lets me know that I'm writing. I tend to make a cup of tea before I start writing. That's one of my rituals. Oh, it's time for me to write. I go to the kitchen, I make myself a hot cup of tea, I bring it in, I put it by the desk. This is my writing time. Maybe it's writing on a specific tool, or maybe you have like a journal that you write in, or you have a specific tool like Scrivener on your computer that you use for writing. Maybe you write in a certain spot. Maybe you have a certain place. Maybe you only do your writing, at the kitchen table, and in your office you do other work. Or maybe you have a special chair and little table in your bedroom where you love to sit and write. So that's also a ritual. Or maybe there's some music you love, and this is my writing music. These are all rituals that help you kind of train your body and train your mind into, now I'm writing. And I want to compare this to bedtime routines. If you're a parent, you've had kids, the experts have told you, you need to give them a bedtime routine, right? You turn off the TV, you sit and you read a book, you brush your teeth, and whatever the routine is, there's these steps to getting to bed. And the reason we have a routine is it cues our body and it cues our brain, our mind, that now we are going to bed, time to settle and time to go to bed. Writing is the same thing. Cue yourself. Find ways to cue yourself that now is the time we're going to write, whether it's with the music or the cup of tea or the the place you write, or your writer shirt or your writer hat or whatever it is. Develop those rituals. So because the reason why we have the bedtime routine, it's to cue ourselves. So do the same thing with other tasks, including your writing or your creative practice. Have the rituals. So let's summarize. You want to know why this book is out there. You want to be generous. This is the gift you need to give to the world. And so you're going to look at your rhythms, your personal rhythms, when you're productive, when you're best creative. Maybe you work full-time 9 to 5, so your best time is on weekends. So you look at your rhythms in your life and how that works. And then when you have that, you're going to use that to build routines so that you're showing up at the same time. You build it in a routine, just like an elite athlete builds a routine. And then you're going to look at the rituals that you'll do at the beginning and the end or during each creative practice, like each time you sit and go through the process, so that you cue yourself to do that. And if you do this at first, it's just like, this is hard, this is a lot of work, and I have to put all these pieces together. But then what I think you'll find is you will eventually just get up, or lunchtime or after lunch or before bed or whenever, you'll just have this natural practice. It will feel natural. You've built it, you've designed it, you've built it, but you'll have this practice and you'll follow it. Just like when getting up for gymnastics at 6 a.m. was hard, but after you do it a while and you build in the rituals and you remember why you're doing it and all of that stuff, you just get up, you go do what you're going to do, and then you go on to your next task. And your creative practice can be exactly the same as that. So you want to write a book in 90 days. Now is the time to develop or create or build a practice, which is not about an outcome. It's about a process. And it will help your productivity. It'll help you kind of feel like a writer, because you are a writer. We never feel like we're an author until we have a book out into the world. And even then, it's hard to feel like it. But this practice will help you with all of that. So rhythms, routines, rituals. That's what you're working on this week. And then that can become your sacred writing time. I hope this was useful and you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to see them. Just post me a comment, give it a like if it's useful. And of course, if you're enjoying this, head over to the YouTube channel and subscribe. We'll see you next week.